Hello and welcome back to the tutorial on Java development. In this section and in this lecture, we are going to discuss about a control statement called as if and else if blocks. So in this section, we are going to discuss about else if and if blocks. So we'll start with if block. So the if block means it is used for evaluating specific Boolean conditions. The syntax is if followed by the Boolean condition, and in the braces we have to write the statements which we need to execute if the condition is successful. So that is how the syntax of the if block. If blocks are used a lot of in our programs. We already had seen in some programs we had used the if block to check the specific conditions. So here we are introducing about the if block in this section. So that is how it for the if block. Now let us see the another variety of if block. So the if else block. If else block has a specific else condition for the specific else condition is attached to the if block, so that the if the if condition is failing, the else part will be executing. So that is how the if else will work. Now let us go for the next type of block, if else if block. In this case, there will be else if condition will after the if, so that the else if condition will check for another if condition. So we can have multiple checking of our condition. So this is another way of else if doing the if else loop. Next thing it is if if block. So in this case, the if block will be continued with an else if block, and in the last at the last end we will put a else block to negate all the conditions. If all the previous conditions fails, then it will go to the else condition. This is how the structure of the else if will look like. So we have seen the theoretical aspects. Now let us see the practical for this. Now let us see a program for the if block in Java. So here we can see I have an if block here. The if block will have a particular condition, and I am printing out a particular value after the if condition is successful. If the Boolean condition is successful, then it will enter the inside the loop. And next to I will have an if else condition. Here if else condition is there, and it means if the condition of the first if boolean condition fails, it will come to the else part. So we can write the conditional evaluation using like this. And the third type of way of doing it is if else and else if, and finally we will put an else block. So this is the three different ways of using the if else construct, and we are seeing this example. Now let us see the output for this program. So the output has came. It is entering all the different loop conditions. So you can see here. So that is it for this example. We will see with another example. Now let us see a program for printing whether a number is odd or even using the if condition. So in this program we can see in the example 2 program, in the main method I have declared a scanner object. So scanner object is used to read the particular integer or string, anything we can read using the scanner object. So I'm declaring the scanner, and in the constructor I'm passing the system.in. So it will take the system.in as its constructor parameter, and the and that is how we can declare a scanner. And after declaring the scanner, I am using the printing a message to enter the number, and after that I am printing and taking the value from the sa.nextInt method I am using to read the particular integer value from the scanner to the particular variable. Once I get a variable, it back into the variable, I will check for a if condition. If the particular variable is having a remainder operation with 2, if it returns 0, then that is an even number. I will print the even number, else I will print it as an odd number. So that is it for the logic of this program. Let us see the output for this. So here they are prompting me to enter a number. So I will enter a number and press enter. So it is printed out correctly. That's it for this program. We will come with another program. Thank you for watching. Now let us see a program for printing largest of three numbers. So here I have three values a b c a b and c, and we want to find out largest among which is the largest number. So we can use a conditional if conditions to find out that condition, that value, whether which one is larger. So first I'll have an if loop to check whether which a or b, either a or b is greater. If a is greater, then I'll put large equal to a, then I'll put large equal to b. So that's how the both I will check the first between the two, and next I will check whether this it is greater than c or not. If it is greater than c is greater, then I will equate large equal to c, and finally I will print out the value of large. This is a simple program to explain how to find out largest among the three numbers. Let us see the output. So the output has come correctly. The largest value is printed, and this is for this section on this lecture on if condition. Here we seen three different programs, simple programs, very simple programs based on the if condition. So if blocks are very important everywhere. We need to understand about the if block. If blocks are used in evaluating the boolean conditions. So we have seen some programs. Thank you for watching this lecture. Please continue watching the series. Hello guys, and welcome back to another session. In this lecture we are going to discuss about for and enhanced for loop. So we'll start with the for loop. So for loop, what is a for loop? For loop is used to iterate a particular condition. So iteration means you want to have a loop in a program. So you want to have a specific condition execute repeatedly over n number of times. So to do that we have to use loops. The for loop is one of the basic loops which is available in Java. Like C Pro Java supports for loop. So in the syntax of the for loop we will look at it, and you can see for loop will start with the initialization followed by a semicolon, and after that there will be initialization is the part where we will declare our local variable which is used for the iteration, and in followed by that the condition expression will be there. Condition means when we want to terminate our iteration. For example, a condition is like length less n equal to length. So when the length of that iterating array list or array reaches the limit, then we want to terminate it, then we have to provide that condition in the condition section. Next part is the iteration section, in which we will define how we want to iterate our loop. So for example, incrementation and decrementation operation, how we want to do that iteration we will define in the iteration section. And following to that in that block of that for loop we have to declare the statements which we want to execute over the number of times. So this is it for the for loop. Now let us discuss about the enhanced for loop. Enhanced for loop was introduced later into Java, and it is used to iterate over a collection and list arrays and other data structures. It has a syntax like the for loop, a variable will be has to be declared, and colon we have to write, and then you have to mention the name of the list or the array, and in that statement you have to write the particular statement which you want to iterate over a number of times. So for enhanced for loop is much more compact. It is used mainly to iterate over collections and list. And now we'll see the practical for this section to understand more about for loops. Now let us see the practical for this section. I will demonstrate the usage of for loop in this section. So we can see I have declared a for loop here, and in the for loop I am printing out the value. Here we can see initialization, condition, and iteration, all the three different aspects of for loop, and that is the basic syntax for loop. I am printing out each iteration value, and next thing is the enhanced for loop. The enhanced for loop, before enhanced for loop, I am declaring an array. Array is a collection of similar data types and it is used to have multiple elements. So we will see about arrays when the array section will come. But for now, it's thing like it is a data structure which allows a similar collection of data. So here this is an int array, and in the int array I am iterating over the int array using the enhanced for loop. So here you can see the syntax. The variable name is declared and colon the list name, the array name is provided, and I am iterating over each element using the for loop. Now let us see the output for this. Here you can see the output. The output has came in and you can see the multiple times the iteration condition is printed, the statement is printed, and the program is executed successfully. And thank you for watching. Now let us see another program. Now let us see a simple program to print stars, and using a triangle we have to print using stars in Java. So these kind of questions are asked in interviews and all, how to print a particular pattern using for loops and stars. And this is how this program will explain how to print a particular triangle using a star. So here you can see I have declared two for loops. The first for loop is to iterate over each line of the triangle, and the second for loop is to print the stars, whatever the stars which are number of stars which we need to print over each line. Here you can see I am putting j less than I, like that I'm putting, so that number of times if the I value is 1, the one star will be printed. The I value is 2, then 2 stars will be printed. The I value is 3, then 3 stars will be printed. Like that the for loop will execute. So after the last line the number of stars will be printed as per as the I. So then the triangle will be constructed like that. Let us see the output to see the triangle. So here you can see the output as came, the triangle is printed, and we will see another program based on for loop. Now let us discuss about a program to print factorial of a number. We already seen in the program structure part of our course, we had discussed about for factorial. In that lesson we used recursion to print factorial of the number, and in this lesson we are going to print using a simple for loop. So we can see here I am putting initializing the variables, declaring some variables and initializing it, and factorial variable is initialized to 1, and after that I am having a for loop in which this will be decrementing for loop. You can see the iteration part I am decrementing, and the condition will be like up to the 1 I will iterate the for loop, and then I will multiply each value and equate it back to the factorial value, and finally in the printf I will print the particular values. So let us see the output for this thing to understand what is a factorial of 4. So here you can see the factorial of 4 is 24. The output has came. So that is it for this section on for loops. In this section we are seeing about different types of usage of for loops. Enhanced for loop also we have seen, and these for loops are very important to learn because in everywhere we want to iterate our collection or items, we want to use for loop. So thank you for watching, and please I will see you in the next video. Welcome to the lecture on while and do while loop. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about the another control statements which are while and do while loop. So we'll start with the while loop. So we are seeing now the for loop which is used to iterate. Similar to for loop, while loop is also used to iterate a element, and we can use while loop to have more control over entry. It is an entry control loop, so the entry to the loop is controlled using the while condition. So here you can see the syntax for the while loop. While condition is printed, and if condition is successful then the statement will execute. Following to the statement we have to write an iteration condition, so that the next condition what the value should be incremented or decremented, what we want to do, that we have to mention in the iteration section. So this is the syntax for using the while loop. The next type of loop is do while loop. So do while loop is an exit control loop. So we'll start with the do statement. The syntax will start with the do statement, and in the do statement we have to write the following, that there will be a brackets, and in the brackets we have to write the code for our iteration and statement. And finally in the while loop part, in the law and the end, we have to write the condition for the particular loop to execute. So we will see the practical for this session to understand more about this. Now let us see a program for this section. We'll start with a simple program to print the multiplication table, and which is a multiplication table of number 5. We want to print using the while loop. So you can see the while loop is declared, and this is the syntax for while loop, and putting the condition in that, and I'm printing each iteration value and multiplying the value and printing the particular values there. And here you can see the iteration condition incrementing the value, and the iteration is that. And let us see the output for this program. So here you can see the multiplication table of 5 is printed. So up to 5, 10 it is iterated and printed. Now we will see another program. Now let us see a simple program to demonstrate the usage of do while loop. Here we can see I declared a do while loop inside the main method. I declared a do while loop. In the do while loop, you can see how the value is getting printed, and I'm printing the value. And here we can see I am iterating n equal to n plus 10, n by 10, n plus 10. So each iteration the value will be incremented by 10. So the output will be like 0, 10, 20, 100, 30, 40, like that. It will be the output. Let us see the output to see the how it is printing. Where you can see the value is printed by using the do while loop. And thank you for watching. Now let us see another program. Now let us see a simple program in Java based on reversing a number using while loop. So here we'll use the while loop to reverse a number which is a decimal number. We will reverse the decimal number using while loop. There you can see the while I have declared a decimal number here, and I have to declare some variables to hold the remainder and the reverse number to be holded. And in the while loop, I'll put the condition as n not equal to 0. That means the value of n will the value of n should not be equal to 0 after the iteration. So next thing which we will do is, first thing we will do is calculate the remainder of the remainder. So decimal numbers has this property that if you calculate the remainder, you will get the position value. The what is the digit value in that particular position we can find out. So the remainder operation we will do with the number 10, and then we will get the remainder. After that we will use the we'll construct our reverse number, and the reverse number will be will multiply it with the 10, so that the previous whatever reverse number we calculated, that should be skipped, and we'll add that particular remainder back to the number. So like that, this is the logic for reverse number. And then in for the iteration condition, we will put n equal to n by 10. So the next digit will be picked up from the decimal place. Next decimal place will be picked up, so that the iteration will continue until the n not equal to 0 condition will come. So this is the logic for printing the reverse of number using while loop. Let us see the output for this. Here you can see the output 54321, the reverse of the number we has printed. Now let us see another program. Now let us see a simple program to print Fibonacci series in Java. So what is Fibonacci series? You will be all thinking, what is Fibonacci series? So Fibonacci series is a series of numbers or a sequence of numbers with with the previous value be the current value being the sum of the previous two values. For example, the series will look like 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, like that the series will go. So the sum of the particular value For example, number 5 is the sum of 3 and 2. So like that the series will go on. So in this program we are going to print a Fibonacci series of n numbers. So you will and input the number n, which is the number of the series we want to print, and then we will iterate and print the particular number of Fibonacci series elements. So we'll start. So here we can see I am declaring variables to store the particular values for the printing of this series. And next thing what I will do is I will declare a scanner object and read the particular n value, so that we will be able to input the n, and then after reading the scanner, I will close the scanner object using close method. And after that, what I will do is I will open a while loop. In the while loop, the condition will be n greater than 0. That will be the condition. And next thing which we will need to mention here is the how I will do the incrementation. Each element I will how we will calculate. So initially I will just print out the value of v, which is declared as 0. So the zeroth element of the Fibonacci series is always 0. So that is always printed. And next thing which we need to understand here is the other under how I am doing this. I'll do a swapping logic here. So I'll calculate the previous one and put the previous value into the current value, and then I will swap the values. After that, after the logic, this is a logic. Please look into the logic and see how I am doing this. It take your own time. Pause this video and see how the logic is going. And the iteration condition will be n minus minus, because we want to print the n number of Fibonacci series, so it will decrement the n value, and finally we will be able to print all the elements. Let us see the output for this. So here we can see it is asking me to enter the limit, how many Fibonacci elements I want to print. So I entered the limit and it is printing all the Fibonacci series as per as the requirement. So thank you for watching. In this section we are covered about the the while and do while loop, how we can use the while and do while loop with the examples of 4 example programs. So we have seen all the programs to do the while and do while loop. And thank you for watching this video. Please continue watching the series. Welcome back to this lecture on break, continue and label. So in this lecture we will discuss about all these 3 different statements: break, continue and label. So we'll start with the break statement. So the break statement is used with for loops and other loops. With the logic of break is to break out of the loop. So if you want to have a specific condition, for that specific condition we want to skip executing the loop. At that time we can use the break statement. It will exit from the block which it is holding, and it will continue executing the program. It will not terminate the program, it will just skip that loop which is it is enclosed. Now let us see another use. Very break statement is used along in switch statements also. We will explain about the switch statement in the next lecture. Next we will discuss about is continue. So continue is a statement which is used to skip the particular iteration. For example, in a for loop, if you want to have to skip a particular for a particular value, we want to skip the iteration. So we can use the continue statement. So continue statement will not exit the loop. We can use it to skip a particular iteration, and the iteration will continue. The for loop will continue executing. And next is the continuous statement can only used along with the loops. And next we will discuss about is labels. So labels is used to create a specific we can create a specific label in our before the head, before the loops, so that it will affect the outermost loop. So if we could have a label statement, and we can go to the particular label by using either continue the label name, or the break the label name, by break followed by the label name. By that we can able to go to the particular label, so it will skip the, it will affect the outermost loop. We will see it in the program so that we will be fully understand this part. So that let us see the program for this. Now let us see a simple program for break statement in Java. So in the main method, I'm using a for loop to iterate to 1 to 10, and in that when the condition is like when it is reaches the 5, I will break out of the loop. So what will happen is it will break from the particular loop on that specific condition. So break statement is used to skip for the to skip from a particular loop, and it will make our code. We can write lot of looping logic based on the break statement. Let us see the output for this. So the output has came. So the we can see the after 5 it is not printing anything, because after at 5 we are breaking out of the loop. So the break statement is working like this. Thank you for watching. Now let us see another example. Now let us see a program based on continue statement in Java. So in previous one we will see how break statement is working. Now let us see the continue statement, how it is working. We will see. So here you can see the same logic program is there. From 0 to 10 I will print, and here we can see for a particular condition for 3 and 5 I am skipping the iteration by using the continue statement. So let us see the output for this program to see how the continue statement will work. Here you can see for number 3 and 5 these values are not printed. For those two values the iteration is skipped, and like the logic what we are written here. So this is how the continue statement will work. So you can see the difference between the break and continue. Break statement will exit from the loop, whereas the continue statement will skip the particular iteration. Remember always that. And now let us see another program for labels. Now let us discuss a program about labels in Java. So labels are used to branch out of our code, branching statement. So here you can see in the main method I have created a label. So this program is to print only odd numbers multiplication table. So multiplication table we all learned as a kids. So in this program we will just print the multiplication table of odd numbers only. So to do that, I'm having two for loops. So you can see in the second for loop, I am printing the condition, for specific condition. I am putting if it is in the remainder is zero, when you remainder divided remainder operation with two, then at that time I am using the continue statement. So that time it will continue only. The you can see here the logic is like if we want to print only odd numbers for multiplication table. So for that specification I'm using the continue followed by the label name. Here you can see the label will be called here, and the outermost loop will be skipped, and this will affect the outermost loop. Let us see the output to see how it is coming. Here you can see the multiplication table of odd numbers has been printed, even numbers are skipped. So in order, if why label statement can be used if you want to skip to the outermost loop, that for that condition we can use labels in Java. And in this section we are covered, in this lecture we are covered about various branching statements, continue, break, and label we are discussed. And this we need to use it carefully, because we already seen that there are different types of execution for these three, so we can use all these three whenever is required. So thank you for watching this section. Please continue watching the series. Hello and welcome back to the lecture on switch statement and switch expressions. So in this lecture we will discuss about the switch. Switch is a keyword in which we will pass a particular variable, and that variable, for each state of the variable we want to execute a specific condition. So for that purpose we will use the switches. So the switch, we will start with switch statement. So the switch statement is were used in old versions of Java also, and it was available in old versions. and it will consist of mainly three concept. The first one is the switch keyword. Following the switch of the variable name, you have to pass into the switch keyword. And next one is the case. Case will be the particular case which we want to write. For each state we will write one cases. And next thing is the default means if you want to execute all the cases fails, then you want to execute a particular statement, then we can write that statement in the default part. Now let us see the syntax for the switch statement. So here you can see the syntax, default syntax for switch statement. Here you can see switch of variable and the particular cases. We can pass integers and floats or enums, everything we can pass. We will discuss about enums when we come to the enum class. For now it is consider it as a state, it's a variable. And now let us discuss about other things. We can use a break statement to break out of the each cases. If you don't use a break statement, what will happen is the if control flow will go to the other switches, other cases, sorry, and it will cause the other cases to execute. So we don't want that, so we can use the break statement. Now let us discuss about the switch expressions. The switch expressions are very in new feature in Java, which allows to have an arrow notation in the switch statement switch. And it can return you a value. So we can use a variable to store the value from the switch. And there is a new keyword which is called as yield keyword, which is introduced during the switch expressions. So we can use the switch yield keyword to return you a particular value or yield a particular value, and that value will be stored back to the variable which is holding that switch. So let us see the syntax for switch statement, sorry, switch expression. So the switch expression syntax is like this. We can declare a variable to hold the switch value. Once it yields any value, it will return you a particular value. That value will be stored back to that variable. And here you can see that we can have multiple case labels, which was not possible in switch statement. So in switch expressions we can have multiple case labels by separated by comma. And finally, there is a yield keyword you can see, and the yield keyword will have a particular property, like it will return you a particular number. If you want to return a number or specific value for a particular case, then you can use the yield keyword. So this is it for the theoretical aspects of the switch and switch expressions. There is a new enhancement in JDK 17 which is called as pattern matching for switch expressions, and in this feature allows us to have pattern matching feature for switches, and both statement and expression can have pattern matching. We will discuss about then that when the practical of this video will come. Thank you for watching. Now let us see a program based on switch statement in Java. So here you can see I have created a switch statement. Here I am switching over a string, which value is, if the value is apple, it will print apple. It is like that. I'm printing each for each case. I am putting a particular value, and as a and colon for the for following that I will put a colon and put the statement for that switch, and explain if default also I will provide. So this is how the basic syntax for switch statements. Now let us see the output for this. So here you can see apple is printed. So the value which I passed was the value apple. So the value is printed like that. That is the example for switch statement. Now let us see another example. Now let us see a program for switch expressions in Java. So switch expressions was introduced to later into Java. So it is a new feature, and switch expressions has a arrow notation feature which is added. So we can use arrow notation to have handle multiple cases, and we can have that condition. Now let us see the program for this. So here you can see the program. This program is to print the number of days in a particular month. This program's goal is like that. So we have to print a particular number of days in a particular month. So we are passing a particular year and month as a two variables, and using the switch expression to switch over the particular variable. And here we can see this logic for other whichever months which having 30 days, I will returning a 30 value, and whichever months which having a 31 days, I'm returning 31 value days. And for the other case where when it is February, at that time I am calculating whether it is a leap year or not. If it is a leap year, I will return a particular 29. If it is a not a leap year, then I will return 28. So like that, that logic of the flow is like that. You can see the syntax for yield keyword also here. And if block is there, and if the if condition is satisfying, then I'm yielding a particular number which is 29. And if that condition is failing, and I'm returning another yield well. And default is necessary in the switch expression. So you need to have a default condition, and which will return a particular value. And we can see here I'm passing the particular 2 years and days, and the year and month. And let us see the output to see whether how many days are in this year and month. Here we can see the number of days is printed. So this is it for the program for switch expressions. Now we'll see another program. Now let us see a program on switch expressions, which is a simulation of a cricket over. So cricket is a game, you know. If you don't know about cricket, you search in Google to find out cricket, a game. And in this cricket, there is an over concept is there. So there will be six times a six balls will be there in an over. So in this program, we are trying to simulate an over in a cricket match. So here you can see in the I have declared a method in which it will take a parameter of a particular switch value, and I will switch the particular and returning I will return a switch value. And here you can see for a specific event I am printing a particular result. That result is called as number of runs scored. For if it is a wide or no ball, it is called as 1 runs. Further condition, if it is a 4, it is a 4 runs, and it's a 6, and it's a 6 runs. So like that I am giving the values. So this is how the switch can be used as a return statement also. That is how we are showing here. Now let us see the main method. In main method, I'm calling each runs per every ball and calculating the total runs in that over. So an over has six balls. So six times I will call the function and calculate the particular number of runs scored in that over. So this is how. Now let us see the output. How much runs I scored in that 1 hour. Here you can see 16. So that is it for this switch expression. Now let us see another program on pattern matching for switch expressions. Now let us see a program for pattern matching in switch expressions. So is it statement or expression? Both will support pattern matching feature. So pattern matching is a newly introduced in Java 17. It's a preview feature. So you have to enable the preview option in your project to view this use this particular feature. So if it is not enabled, go to the compiler of your right click and go to the compiler of a project settings, and in the project settings you can give the you can check the checkbox to enable the preview features. So now let us go back to the program. So here we can see this is a simple program to print a double value from a particular. If it is a string or an integer or a double, whichever the type, it will return you a double value. So that is the goal of this this program. So now let us see the program logic. So here you can see I am having a switch. Here you can see the pattern matching for switch expression. It will take any type of patterns it can handle. You can see this code. Integer type it can hold a float, or it can hold a double. It can hold a string also. So in this case we are passing a generic object, like object class is called as an class which is a super class of all the classes. So if you are not having to sure about any type of a particular object, you can pass the object method, object class as a parameter, so that it will handle the for all the types. Now let us see how this program is getting invoked. So here you can see in the main method I am calling the particular uh, method to print the double value. by one. I'm passing the first an integer, then I'm passing a float value, and then I'm passing a string value, so it will print. Here you can see the methods. These methods you will learn about wrapper classes once you learn that lesson. In that lesson we will cover about all these methods which are related to the wrappers. For now, let us think like a double is like a class which will wrap around the double primitive data type, and it will provides us with additional functionalities, functions and everything. Now let us this program, let us see the output for this program to see whether how the double values are returning or not. So here you can see the double value for each different types, integer and the float and string has been returning. So this kind of program logic can be written using a pattern matching for switch expression feature. This is a lot of things has been newly introduced in Java 17. This is one of the new feature, and this feature is very has many more other features which we will not discuss in this lecture. You can Google it and find out what are the different other ways of doing the pattern matching in switch, and we can understand about more about the switch expression. So in this lecture we are seeing about the switch expressions and switch statements, and seen some programs related to the switch expressions and switch statements, and we have learned about them. So please continue watching the series. Thank you for watching.